Hello, welcome to my video series here on working with Animate for interactive design. This is the first step that you should know when working with the application. I'm going to run by this fairly fast so you can just look it up and use it later. So we want to create a brand new file. The default settings, if you go to the advanced settings and then go to the HTML5 canvas, you can set this to whatever size you want, and you don't have to come back and use it over and over again. So 640 by 480 for now is a good size. The frame rate, you can set that to 30 frames per second. The math is a lot easier. It's got HTML because this was HTML. We're going to make that the default, so next time I create a new document, it'll use the same dimensions. And if I want to change it to another size, I can change it to another size and make that the default as well. So go ahead and hit create. First thing I want to do is set up my preview so that it's consistent. And so I'm going to go to the design view, and I'm going to fix this a little bit here. I don't need the CC library, so I'm going to pull that out. I don't need the assets, so I'm going to pull that out. And I'll just close those away so I don't get in my way. If I go to the window drop-down menu and slide down to output, that opens up an output window that gives me additional information on how everything is working when I run the application, but unfortunately it always manages to cover up the timeline. I prefer it to have it down here on the bottom, so I'm just going to click on the tab and drag it right down there. If you do Command 0, that centers your page. Same thing as Adobe Illustrator and Photoshop. So this is the way I like it, so I'll go ahead and save it. So we'll go ahead and change this name over here from Workspace to my workspace, and I'll leave it in camel case, and I'll download and save that to my file. That way if I ever need to reset it, I'm good. Now, every once in a while the application will crash, and so if it crashes right now, it won't remember any of my settings. So before I do anything else, I'm going to go ahead and quit out of here, and that way it'll remember the settings for the next time, so I don't need to save that. Okay, so I'll relaunch it. And we'll do Command N new again. And it remembers the size from last time, so we'll go ahead and click on Create. Okay, simple animation. We'll start off with a shape. And this is just a generic shape. It doesn't have any sophistication to it whatsoever. It's just artwork. It's a vector graphic shape, but you can't code it or do anything with it with the application. So in order for us to be able to code it and have it move and tell it to move, we have to wrap this around with a symbol. The command is insert create a classic tween. If we select that, it's going to do two things. It's going to put this inside a symbol. The symbol then is going to go into the library. It's also going to reformat the timeline so that we can animate. So we'll go ahead and click on that. And here it's telling me the selection cannot be tweened. You must convert the yada yada. Just what I told you. We'll hit OK. And then it did those things. So now here in the library, if I click on here, you can see that there's my original artwork. So if I double click on this, I can select this to change the color or whatever. If I go back to the main work area, which is called the stage, and here if I click on here, you can see, I can't click on it because I'm on the last frame and there isn't a little black dot here. So in order for me to be able to select this, I need to bring this back over here to the main frame. Now I can select it. And here you can see what I have. This is what's converted by default into a graphic symbol, which is fine. And now I want to animate it. So there's two ways of animating it. You can either go to the very last frame and just drag this to another location. And there's our animation. Let me do an undo. Or this is the way it came in. Or if you want a long frame, you can come over here to frame 60 and then do an insert. And what we want to do is insert a keyframe. You can do it this way, insert keyframe, or the shortcut key is F6. Now you may have to do an F and F6 depending on the configuration of your Mac. So I'm just doing an F6 on my Mac. It's going to work fine, but normally you would have to do an FN and then followed by the F6. So that puts the frame over here. Now I've got, at the beginning of the frame, I've got the square on the upper left-hand corner, and at the end of the animation, I've got the square on the upper left-hand corner. This is actually animation, so if I scrub, this is called scrubbing, you can see that nothing's happening because it's going from one place to the other place and it's not changing its location. So if I move this over to the other side, and now when I scrub, you can see that when the animation starts, it plays through. Now I want to see the animation, so I'm going to do a couple of things just to make it a little easier to see what's going on. I'm going to click on the dock settings and make sure that I've got the dock settings. Go to the stage, and I'm going to just change the background to a light gray. That way we can see the background of the canvas a little bit better when we animate it. So Command Return or Control Return on a PC will generate the animation so we can see it. And now I'm going to center this on the stage. So under More Settings, I'm going to come over here to Center on Stage, and I'll do both. It's fine, and I'll hit OK. Then when I do a Command Return, this is the same animation, but now it can be presented a little bit nicer. Animate is creating a virtual web page from your website, and that's what's going on in here. I haven't saved my document yet. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and save it now. So we'll do a save. I'll put it on my desktop. I'll create a new folder, call that animation. And call the file animation as well. And we'll save it right there. Okay, so in the next movie, we'll reopen this movie and we're going to modify it a little bit. We'll do a save as, but we're going to save it with a button. So we'll do that next.